Yo, I'm Hellhound, and thank you for watching the Horror and Metal channel. As most of you are probably aware, one of my good friends and fellow YouTubers, Sean Urshan, who is also part of the Horror Hangout, and one of my brothers of the Blood Spatter Trio, along with Bronco Juggalo, Sean Urshan made a video like a week or two ago listing his top 10 horror franchises. So those are all his favorite series uh, consisting of a horror movie and several sequels. And it actually became a tag video after that, posthumously. It was made to a tag video. It's actually a pretty good idea for a video anyway. So anyway, I'm going to go and give my answer to that. And again, it's probably something I should have done anyway. So without further ado, here are my top 10 favorite horror franchises. Once again, that's the franchises. I'm not talking about the original movies. So if I rank, say, the Child's Play franchise over top Nightmare on Elm Street, that doesn't necessarily mean I like the original Child's Play better than the original Nightmare on Elm Street. It means I like the series better than the Nightmare on Elm Street series. So hopefully everybody understands that. I won't have to explain it for too long. So I hope you understand it's the franchises, not the original movies themselves. If the original movies themselves, this ranking order would be very different. So let's go ahead and get started. Number 10, my 10th favorite horror franchise is Hellraiser. And yeah, that one would definitely be higher, but the only ones I really love are the first two, Hellraiser and Hellraiser 2, the only really great ones. And 3 and 4 are okay, then the rest are pretty much garbage. There's a few ones that are slightly watchable or mediocre here and there, but they're mostly crap. The only ones I really love are the first two. So if we're talking about the original movie, it'd be much higher. That'd probably be like at least in my top 5. But as a franchise, I only love the whole first two, so it gets the number 10 spot. Next, number 9, the Amityville franchise. And again, the only ones I really love are the Amityville Horror and the sequel, Amityville 2, The Possession. Amityville 3D is just bland and boring. Part 4 just feels like a watered-down TV movie. Amityville Curse is pretty bad, and some of the other ones are okay. Some are watchable. The remake, which was, 2005, I believe, was not bad. Actually pretty good, but most of them are pretty forgettable. So that's why it's my number 9 spot. It's not really a very good franchise. And honestly, when I made this list, I realized that some of these aren't really that great as a franchise. The original movies and sometimes the first few sequels are good, but as a series, a lot of them kind of fall short. So that's the same reason why a lot of really obvious choices are going to be on this list. All right, number 8, Phantasm. Now, the only one I really actually, the only 2 I really don't like that much are 3 and 5. I thought Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead, and Phantasm Ravager, the newest one, which always took a long time to come out, I feel like those weren't very good. But Phantasm 1 and 2 are excellent. Phantasm 4 is pretty good, so there's more good than bad. So I'd say Phantasm deserves this number 8 spot. But again, it's pretty even. And 3 and 5 have their moments. They're not terrible. They're not unwatchable. Number 7, Re-Animator. That's a trilogy, one of my favorite horror trilogies. I like all 3 movies. The first one's obviously the best, and they kind of go in order from worst to best, but it doesn't have a terrible entry. They're all good. Jeffrey Combs is great as Herbert West in all 3 of them, so I've nothing bad to say really about any of the movies. So, hell, should be even higher really, but I think it's fine. These aren't really in any order completely, except for the top 5, which we're about to get to here soon. Number 6, and this one I thought should have been higher, but then I thought about it more, and I say, no, I think it deserves this spot. But that should be Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, as the original movie, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre would be in like the top 2 horror movies ever made. Like it's one of the best. It's like the Godfather of horror movies. It's an excellent film. But as a franchise, the only ones I really love, again, are the first 2. The original 1974 classic and the 1986 sequel, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. Then the rest of them have their moments, except for Next Generation. That one's complete shit. But the other ones are pretty good. The third film, the remake and its prequel, pretty good. Then Texas Chainsaw 3D had a lot of problems, but it was okay. It was enjoyable on some levels. And then the prequel, the most recent one, just called Leatherface, I actually liked more than I thought I did. And I actually think that was pretty good. I don't know if I like the idea of Leatherface being a handsome, normal guy who talks and, up until something happens. And then, I always thought he'd be born, nuts. I didn't think he'd have something make him that way. I don't know how I feel about that idea, but it's interesting as a what-if scenario. And it brings back the original family. We get to see the grandpa briefly, and then Drayton and the hitchhiker. who could have been in a lot more, but overall it's pretty good. But anyway, let's move on. Now we're getting to the top 5. Number 5, the Evil Dead trilogy. And honestly, I think this one actually probably should have been a little higher, but what can you do? I think that the thing is, some of the other films have entries that might be better, but the thing is, Evil Dead 2 is my favorite movie of all time. So yeah, again, that probably should have been a little higher. Maybe I didn't think that through, but oh well. Yeah, I think it's fine. And I guess you could say it's not as high because the third film isn't really a horror movie, so I guess that could be a reason why it's only number 5. But Evil Dead 2 is my favorite movie. The first, The Evil Dead, is excellent. Very, very scary and very gory. It's one of the only movies I can think of that perfectly blends scares and gore. There's not a lot of movies that are gory and scary at the same time, but Evil Dead actually pulls that off. The original. Oh, and there's also the remake. I forgot about. And so yeah, if you had the remake in, I think it definitely deserves the number 5 spot because the remake was okay, but nah. It kind of took away everything I really liked about the other movies, Of course, Ash wasn't in it, so until after the end credits. Oh, did I spoil it? That was the best part. But yeah, I feel a little better about putting it in number 5 spot now, counting the remake along with it. But Evil Dead 2 is my favorite movie, and yeah, Army of Darkness is more of like an action-adventure comedy with a lot of horror elements. But Ash Williams is probably my favorite protagonist, my favorite hero of any movie series of all time. He might be my favorite hero, well, except for maybe Batman, but it's close. But yeah, Evil Dead trilogy, number 5. But, I probably should have been higher again, but adding the remake, I feel a little better about that. But let's go ahead and move on. Number 4, and actually, looking back, I think this one should have been maybe should have swapped places with Evil Dead, but oh well. Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, about this one, the only ones I really love are the original, Part 3, Dream Warriors, and honestly, Freddy vs. Jason. Yeah, I know, I feel weird saying that that's like in the top 3. It feels, I don't know, like in a 2003 movie over one of the 80s movies. Yeah, it kind of feels like blasphemy. It even kind of hurts me to say that, but that's the way I feel. And then Part 2 and Part 4 are pretty good. They have their moments. 5 and 6 are pretty much crap. 5 is okay. Freddy's Dead, I think, is just total, basically unwatchable unless you're looking for a so bad it's good guilty pleasure kind of movie. It was better than Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation, so I'll give it that. Oh my gosh, my phone will not stop going off. Stop interrupting my video. Anyway, but yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street, and the remake sucked, of course, too. But yeah, I think the original's so good that no matter what franchise it was in, it was gonna get a high up spot in the list. And I also love Dream Warriors. Oh, and there's also New Nightmare, which I find very overrated, but it's still good. It's a good movie. I just didn't really like the idea. I didn't really like the concept. And that kid, Miko Hughes, was really annoying. He was great in Pet Sematary and even Kindergarten Cop, but he was really annoying in New Nightmare. But Heather Langenkamp was in it, and and Robert Englund got to play himself and Freddy, so that was interesting. But anyway, let's move on. Number 4, Nightmare on Elm Street. That's fine. Number 3, now this is where it got really hard for me. The number 2 and 3 spot were very difficult, but I'm going to say Halloween. Now, the original, yeah, it's the best out of all these movies. Every movie in every franchise on this list, the original Halloween is the best. It's the top tier. Evil Dead 2 might be like my personal favorite movie, but I think Halloween for the 1978 original is one of the best horror movie ever made. It's like The Godfather, the Citizen Kane of horror movies. It's just so excellent. I have nothing bad to say about it. However, the franchise, Part 2 is really great too. I love Part 2. Part 3, I feel like it's not really part of the series, but it's interesting. It's a great premise. I don't think it's really a great movie, but it's kind of cool that it has a series that has an injury with nothing to do with the rest of it. I think it kind of makes that series stand out and something different. Season of the Witch isn't really part of the series, but it's okay. I love Part 4. Part 5 I don't really like. There's too much stupid crap in it. Part 6 is too convoluted. Michael Myers has done well, but overall it's just a incoherent mess. There's way too many things going on. Then H2O is also pretty good. But I feel like it was kind of too watered down. It felt very PG-13. It's like a diet horror movie. It was like a Scream sequel. It felt more like a Scream sequel than a Halloween. I feel like Michael Myers walked on the set of Dawson's Creek. And also, Michael Myers was kind of a wimp. And I like the Michael Myers in the Part 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, better than the one in H2O, despite thinking H2O is a better movie. But Jamie Lee Curtis was great. There's no Dr. Loomis. It's the first Michael Myers movie without Donald Pleasence as Dr. Loomis. But what can you do? I mean, he was gone, so... But I like H2 overall. Resurrection sucks. That's one of the worst movies ever. That's one of the worst movies on this list. So It's probably because of Resurrection that this list, that Halloween as a franchise isn't the number 2 spot, or even the number 1 spot for that matter. Then we have Rob Zombie's remake, which totally missed the point. It was a misguided vision. They made Michael Myers too human, too relatable, and way too much over the top of profanity and vulgarity. Everybody says the F word every 5 seconds. Nobody talks like that. It had a few good decisions like Malcolm McDowell and Brad Dourif, but overall, I didn't really care for it. I gave it like a 6 out of 10, even though it probably deserves a 5. Then we have Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, another one of the worst movies ever made. I despise that piece of crap. It's right up there with Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. I absolutely hate that movie, and I don't even want to go into why. So it's because of that Halloween's number 3 spot. And then the recent film, Halloween 2018, I thought was really, really good. And for the people that hated it, I don't know what they expected. And spoiler alert, I have a theory about that movie. But actually, I guess I won't spoil it. So never mind. I take that back. No spoiler alert. I'm going to reveal my theory. It has something to do with the Doctor character and has something to do with the way Michael Myers escaped. I think that somebody helped him, maybe. But we'll get to that in another video. So yeah, Halloween's the number 3 best franchise for those reasons. But the original is the best out of all these. And number 2 would actually be Child's Play. And the reason that that's the number 2 spot is I think that other than the number 1 spot, it's the most consistent. There's not a terrible entry in that series. I know everybody's going to say, Seed of Chucky sucked. That was the terrible entry. I disagree. I think it's the weakest one. I think Seed of Chucky and Child's Play 3 are the worst in the series, but I don't think either one of them were terrible. Now, if Seed of Chucky would have advertised itself as the scariest Chucky movie since the original, or a straight-up horror movie, yeah, it would have sucked. But it didn't. It didn't pretend to be anything it's not. It knew what it was. It was a comedy, and it was hilarious. All the jokes were great. It was really, really funny. It set out to do, to be a certain kind of movie, and it exceeded. It nailed it. It was one of the best comedies I've ever seen. Definitely one of the best horror comedies. I love it. I love Chucky. I could watch Chucky all the time. The more Chucky, the better, in my opinion. We already had plenty of movies where he was scary and he was mysterious and we didn't know the doll was alive for the first 40 minutes. They really want to watch a bunch of every single movie be like that, where we didn't know the doll was alive and had all the suspense. We already did that. I love Seed of Chucky. I know it's the weakest one, but I like it. So to me, the Child's Play series is the second most consistent because I love all the entries despite Part 3 and Seed of Chucky being the weaker ones. All the other ones I think are excellent. So I know, just my opinion. I know you're going to say, Seed of Chucky, what do you mean? That movie sucked. But hey, to each their own. I don't think so. I had a lot of problems with it. There's a few things that didn't make sense, but I love it. All right, before we get to the number 1 spot, which I think you already know what it's going to be, let's do some honorable mentions. All right, let's see. Final Destination, Wrong Turn, The Exorcist, Saw, I guess. I don't know. I don't really want to be here all day listing honorable mentions. If I think of more, I'll put them in the description. So make sure you read the description for more honorable mentions because I want to go ahead and reveal the number 1 choice. The number 1 horror franchise is, of course, The Howling. No, I'm just kidding. I love the original, but all the sequels are mostly garbage. They pretty much suck. The number 1 choice, was it any doubt? Friday the 13th. Now, out of the big 4, the original movies, I think Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Nightmare on Elm Street are all better than the original Friday the 13th. Despite Friday the 13th having the best atmosphere and scenery out of any of them, I think Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre are undoubtedly better. Hell, you'd even say the original Friday the 13th is kind of a Halloween imitator. They even admitted, they followed the Halloween more with the POV shots. So it was more of a standard slasher fare, more by the numbers. It was more about the body count and the kills than any depth or atmosphere. But I will say there was some good suspense and scares. It had the whole whodunit thing, the mystery, but didn't know who the killer was, unlike the others. And then, of course, all the sequels had Jason, my second favorite horror villain next to Michael Myers. When he's done properly. When Michael Myers is done properly, he's my favorite horror villain. When he's not done properly, Jason's my horror villain. So it goes Michael Myers when he's done properly, then Jason Voorhees, then Freddy, then Leatherface, then Chucky, yada, yada, yada. Friday the 13th is the best because I think it's the most consistent. The only terrible entries it has are Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X. A lot of people would say Friday the 13th Part 5 and Part 8, but I love those two. I don't care. Yeah, Jason's not the killer in Part 5. Yeah, Jason doesn't spend enough time in the big city in Part 8, and he teleports. Does that make it a bad movie? No. It was still awesome to see him get away from the camp. I love the scenes on the boat. I wish more of it took place in the city. I agree. But I still love it. I think those are two of the most entertaining. And as for Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, they know what they want to be. Jason X is stupid as hell, but it's fun. It's awesome. I love Jason X, Jason in Space. I know it's a stupid idea, but these movies were never Shakespeare to begin with. They're just fun. They're like a cheap thrill. They're like the fast food of movies. But I'd rather watch any of them than The Godfather. Just my opinion. They appeal to me more. They're more entertaining and fun. And I have a blast with all of them. Jason Goes to Hell is full of stupid ideas. Really bad ideas. Convoluted, nonsense plot twists. I could be here all day listening to things that are so bad about that movie, but I still don't think it's terrible. Because Jason looks awesome, what little we see of him. I don't really mind the body hopping thing as much as I used to. It's still a bad idea. It doesn't fit the character. It has the best gore in the series, by far. Some of the best kills, the best nudity, probably, for people who are, obsessed with that sort of thing. Some great characters. Actually, some great acting, surprisingly. Creighton Duke, played by Stephen Wilson, or Stephen Williams. What's his name? I don't know. Stephen Wilson, something like that. He's great. He's one of the best protagonists, right up there with Tommy Jarvis and Ginny from Part 2. He was great. I like the main character played by John LeMay. I like that they didn't spend the whole time at the camp with a bunch of counselors yet again and actually explored the rest of the area with the diner and the scenes in the police station where Jason really cleaned house. I know it wasn't him. It was him in another body, but... and he has such a cool look, too. I wish we could have seen more of him. But there's plenty of stupid things to balance out, like needlessly giving his sister and the mystical dagger and, oh, man, all that garbage. And, the way that he possesses people, they eat the heart, and the heart mutates into a demonic, worm-looking hell baby. Is this a Jason movie? But I still don't think it's terrible. I still think it's better. I think Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X are both better than Resurrection. They're better than Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. They're better than Freddy's Dead. And I also think they're better than most of the remakes. So there you have it. Then there's, of course, the Friday the 13th remake, which I think is the best out of all the remakes. I think it's better than Rob Zombie's Halloween, who totally missed the point and had a misguided vision. I think it's better than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003, which was probably the second best of the remakes, but it's just kind of a generic, by-the-numbers, standard modern horror movie when, it kind of missed the point of the original. And then the soulless cash-in that was the Nightmare on Elm Street remake that just was made for a quick buck with no passion behind the project at all. For Jackie Haley was okay, but he's no Robert Englund. So yeah, there you have it. The number one horror franchise is Friday the 13th, and that's my list for the top 10 horror franchises. A lot of them are obvious choices, but I can't really think of a lot of other good horror franchises. A lot of people probably see The Conjuring in there as well, but I feel like I haven't really seen enough of it, and I feel like, there's only 2 movies, and of course there's the 2 spin-offs, the 2 Annabelle movies, but maybe once there's more entries and it's getting a little more time to sink in. These movies I've been watching for forever, as long as I can remember, decades, I guess. Decades. And, hasn't been enough time to sink in with the Conjuring movies, so maybe in a future list I'll add them there. But that's my opinion. Feel free to make your own. Again, this is a tag video, so I'm going to leave it open. Anybody wants to do it, please let me know what your top 10 horror franchises are. Either make a video or leave your list in the comments. Well, that's another video. I check off my checklist. I guess the other one I got to do is the contest entry for Sean Urshan's contest. So that'll probably be the next one I do. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm Hellhound. Leave your list in the comments or make a video. Until next time. Later.